Hey everybody, Dylan here. Welcome to the Collision review for January 4th, 2025. I know it's a little over a month late, but I figured, I don't know what I figured this time. You're going to get a bunch of old reviews coming up soon. Anyway, let's get into the review for the night. This show starts off with Mark Brisco hyping up his match against Daniel Garcia, and then shockingly we get the opposite. That was a little bit of sarcasm. We get Daniel Garcia hyping up that same match. Chris Jericho's group, I think they're all the Learning Tree, I don't know. And RatedFTR does the same promo style for their match. They're like little miniature snippet videos. And then we get into the intro. After we learn how Saturday night's a night for fighting, we get Mark Brisco versus Daniel Garcia for, I believe, the TNT Championship? Yeah. It was a good, solid match that Brisco looks as if he's going to win, but Daniel Garcia ends up getting a lucky roll-up at the end to retain. They end up shaking hands. Brisco raises his hand, leaves the ring to celebrate, and that's how we end up ending that. After that, we get an interview where Wheeler Yuta's going off at Jay White for what happened last week on Dynamite. If you want to watch that, I got a review of that too up. But he ends up getting cut off by Mox. Mox ends up talking about FTR and says that he thought that he was done with them. But it turns out they have a friend. He's referring to Adam Copeland, a.k.a. Cope. And he ends up cutting a promo on him about... honestly, I don't remember what all it was about. Halfway through it, the crowd starts chanting, "We want wrestling." And unfortunately, that's a very common theme with Dynamite. This show's 3/4 promo videos. I mean, it's okay, but if you're not going to have a B show, theoretically, then you need to treat both shows like A shows, you know? Anyway, after Mox says something, he talks about how if RatedFTR wants to go down this road, they can, but they won't find anything good if they keep on messing with them. They then show a recap of Jeff Jarrett Wednesday, where he talks about retiring and all that. Then we get him versus Aaron Solo. They have a pretty short match, but it was a good match where Jeff Jarrett hits all of his spots, does the stroke, poses with a guitar in the middle of the ring, and leaves. We see action on Andrade and Lillo Rush. I don't know why that's a tongue twister for me. But anyway, he comes to the ring after a recap of Wednesday with the Swerve Business doing their thing. And then they plug a bunch of things that's going to happen this Wednesday. We get action on Andrade and Lillo Rush against the tag team champions at the time, the Private Party. Since I said at the time, I guess that kind of spoiled the outcome of this match because, psych, just kidding, Private Party end up pulling off the W for this match. After that, we get another recap of Darby Allin losing his shit, basically, and the little feud he has against the Death Riders. Commentary wraps up that lovely little segment. Then we get a bunch of plugs for Wednesday and the Collision coming up, and I think even pay-per-view, if I'm not mistaken. And then we get an interview from Cope. He asks why he targeted Mox, and he says because it's him attacking his close friends, Darby Allin and FTR. He pokes fun at where Mox said that nobody here wants to be a champion, but he wasn't there during that time when Mox was saying that. He tries to wrap up his interview, which is better than the 2 sentences I have for it. But after that, Jericho comes in a shot and reminds him that he was a world champion too. And is a world champion. He's a Ring of Honor world champion at the time. He gets worked up and Cope cuts him off by saying that he respects him and understands that they've worked together for 15 years. Jericho says, that's crazy. He can't remember a single segment of it except Edge always getting hurt. Edge then takes back the respect he just gave Jericho and leaves. And Jericho ends up calling him a dope instead of Cope. That was kind of funny. The show recap of Jay White on Dynamite. Once again, another recap. It shows coming up. Then we get Toni Storm versus Deonna Purrazzo, where the winner gets a position in the women's casino gauntlet, I do believe. Toni Storm ends up winning by rolling her up. After that, we get another recap, and if I have to say those words one more time, I'm going to ban recaps. But it's of the major stories that were going on last week in Dynamite. After that, the Beast Mortis takes on Brian Cage, Commander, and Dante Martin for $100,000 in a Fatal Fourway. That's not called Fatal Fourway. I forget what they call it. But anyway, Brian Cage is 100K richer, and he is the victor. After that, we get a promo with FTR and the Rock and Roll Express, where FTR are just fanboying and apologizing for pile driving them sometime last year. Until a team, I really can't remember their name for the life of me, comes in and they're a bunch of carnies. It's the whole gimmick. I appreciate it. Everyone leaves, and we go to the ring for the Learning Tree versus Rated FTR. They had a fun, 30-minute wrestling match. I think it was the main event, if I'm not mistaken. It was a mix of, wrestling and entertainment going on. Jericho tried a lion tamer to win the match, but he ended up connecting with a part of Cash's knee brace. Cash ended up connecting with it in his head. And then Tax, new wrestler. Dax tagged in. They hit the Shatter Machine, and then they tag Edge in for Edge to... Oh, I just called him Edge. For Cope to win with the spear. He's always going to be Edge to me. I'm sorry. I'm just going to do that. It'd be what it be. They plug the rest of the shows coming up, and as we go off air, Cope talks to the crowd, or he tries to, because Mox shows up on the screen, and he shows that he's got the Rock and Roll Express tied up and tape over their mouth. I understand, obviously, due to their age, you don't want them to be, bloodied up or anything. But even if they use, fake blood or blood capsules or something, you know how sick it would have been just to see them, beaten up and bloodied up backstage. Maybe add some, makeup to their face and make them look like they have, a bruised eye or something. Come on, that would have been sick. Alright, anyways, that one team from earlier, I can't remember the name of them for the life of me. I think I have in a future review their actual name written down. But they come by, they try to save them, but the rest of the Death Riders ends up taking them out. As this is happening, RatedFTR, I almost said Rated RKO, they run backstage to save everybody, and the Death Riders run away as we fade to black. I know that was, relatively speaking, a quick review, but to be fair, this show was an hour and a half, give or take, so there's not much you can say, except good show, I liked it. I'll see y'all later on for episode 2 of this year of Collision. Bye!